When the banks collapsed in 2008, and as the global economy goes up in flames, someone was preparing a bomb in the dark. There were no weapons, there was no army, just a PDF file and a few lines of code. Then, a man used that code to buy just 2 pizzas. Today, those pizzas are worth exactly $600 million. How did this digital revolution, hated by bankers, unstoppable by governments, and the last hope for ordinary people, begin? Welcome to the true story of Bitcoin, the world's most dangerous invention. September 15th, 2008, early in the morning, in a towering glass and steel skyscraper in New York, men in suits were packing their belongings into cardboard boxes, computers, framed photos, desk lamps. The components of a 158-year-old institution were being packed into plastic boxes. Lehman Brothers had gone bankrupt, $691 billion in assets, gone overnight. But this wasn't just the story of one bank. That morning, Tokyo collapsed. London collapsed. Frankfurt collapsed. The global dominoes were falling one by one, and no one could stop this collapse, because the system had been built on a lie that had been rotting away for years. So how did we get here? It's very simple. Banks handed out mortgages to people they knew full well couldn't pay them back. Then they took those bad loans, wrapped them up in shiny packages, and sold them all over the world, to pension funds, to insurance companies, even to government treasuries. On top of that, they slapped an AAA rating on them, the highest possible seal of safety. Why? Because the very banks selling those junk packages were the ones paying the salaries of the companies issuing those ratings. There was no independent assessment, just pure greed. And when that Jenga tower collapsed in 2008, it wasn't the bankers who were left under the rubble. It was retirees who had saved money regularly every month for 30 years, factory workers with dreams, and families scrambling to buy their first home were crushed. Their money vanished into thin air, and the bank CEOs, they pocketed their million-dollar bonuses that year as well. The government, meanwhile, printed $700 billion in taxpayer money to bail out the system, not the people. The world was angry. It was a real, deep, and lasting anger. People took to the streets. The Occupy Wall Street movement began. Tents were set up, banners were unfurled, but the system didn't care, because that system was designed solely to protect itself. Right in the midst of this chaos, in a dark corner where no one could see, an anonymous figure sat down at their keyboard. He wasn't angry. He didn't have a sign. He didn't have a slogan. He had just one question. Can money exist without banks? And he started writing code to solve this problem. October 31st, 2008, Halloween night, a short message appeared on a small cryptography mailing list. From Satoshi Nakamoto. Attachment, just a 9-page PDF. That night, no one paid any attention to the email, but those 9 pages, thrown into the world of the suits, would change the course of history forever. For months, Bitcoin was nothing more than a myth, a nameless toy that flickered on computer screens while billionaires in suits laughed it off. Until May 22, 2010. A software developer named Laszlo posted that historic message on an obscure forum. I'll pay 10,000 Bitcoin for 2 pizzas. Anyone interested? On that day, those digital numbers were worth only $40. Someone accepted the offer and the pizzas were delivered. And in that moment, the course of world history was changed forever, because today, those 2 pizzas are worth over $600 million. This was the first time a number that hadn't come off a bank's printing press held value in the real world. The world's greatest financial revolution began with a delivery service. So how does this magic work? Imagine a notebook, but this isn't just any ordinary notebook. A ledger with a copy on every computer in the world at the same time. When you tear out a page and try to tell a lie, thousands of other copies turn to you at the same time and say, "You're a liar," and reject that transaction. Do you want to hack the system? Then you'll have to change every copy in the world at the exact same moment. A miracle in theory, impossible in practice. So who ensures the security of this massive ledger? It's not men in suits, but miners solving complex math problems who are making it happen. Here's what really scares the system, the limit. What do central banks do when problems arise? They press the button on the printing press. Between 2020 and 2022 alone, the United States created 40% of all dollars ever printed out of thin air. The result? The money in your pocket is losing value. But Bitcoin rejects the printing press. The limit is exactly 21 million a year, not a single one more. No committee can change that. What's more, every 4 years, production is cut in half. At 50 per block in 2009, 25 in 2012, 12.5 in 2016, this brutal math will continue until 2014. In an age when easy money is flooding the world, Bitcoin is the hardest currency the world has ever seen. Of course, every revolution creates its own enemies. The kings of the old world hated this. Warren Buffett called it inefficient. Charlie Munger, on the other hand, went so far as to call it rat poison. JP Morgan CEO Jamie Dimon cried fraud in 2017. They're right about one thing. Bitcoin doesn't provide you with cash flow or rental income. But neither does gold. Gold has been valuable for thousands of years simply because it exists. Bitcoin, on the other hand, is digital gold. The only difference is that no government can control it and it's programmable. They did everything they could to stop it. The Chinese government completely banned mining. So what happened? The miners didn't care. They moved their equipment to other countries and the network kept running. Governments have brandished the regulatory stick, but the encryption code remains unchanged. Since it is said that quantum computers will be able to break this encryption, developers have already begun working on quantum-resistant ciphers. Even if its creator, Satoshi Nakamoto, were to return tomorrow, he alone could not change anything. Because this system no longer belongs to him either. Bitcoin is the greatest paradox in history. To make it perfect, its creator had to relinquish control entirely. Let's move beyond theory and get out into the real world. When El Salvador declared it legal tender in 2021, millions of people without bank accounts were freed from those exorbitant bank fees. In Argentina, people have turned to Bitcoin to protect their livelihoods in the face of inflation exceeding 80%. In Nigeria, this was the only way to get rid of the national currency. In Ukraine, it was the only way to carry one's fortune with them while crossing the border in the midst of the war. Today, more than 300 million people use this system. For most people, this isn't a luxury. It's a lifeline, a tool. Is Bitcoin perfect? No. It's slow, energy-intensive, and volatile. Ethereum is more flexible, Solana is faster. Every day, a new and promising competitor emerges. But Bitcoin wasn't designed to shine. It was designed to survive. It wasn't built for speed. It was built for unbreakable security. Simple, slow, but reliable. In 2008, Satoshi Nakamoto was looking for the answer to a single question. Can we create a reliable form of money without relying on a central authority? After 15 years, thousands of crises, and an indestructible network, the system continues to answer this question every second. But the real question is this: when the next major crash hits, who will you trust? The printing presses or mathematics?